So this question comes in all the time, and I'm so excited to get to answer it because this is one of the problems that I had a long time ago when I started. So the question is, how do I get my husband to help around the house? So there's two answers to this. The one is the one that will actually get you the results, and the second answer is the one that's going to solve the problem quickly, but not really long term. So a lot of times what happens is we end up getting angry, right? We're like, this is ridiculous. Like, I go to work every day. I work 40 hours a week. I'm trying to take care of the kids all day. Why am I doing the dishes, the laundry, like all of the things? Why am I cooking? Why can't you help? And then we explode, blow up. And then if they love us lots, they're like, I'm so sorry. I'm going to start helping. And then they start helping, right? So you usually can see short-term results from that. It's extremely rare that you would have long-term results from that because in his mind, the second that you're like, oh, okay, it's getting better, maybe you're going through a little easier time at work, you have less stress, you're going to stop yelling at him because he wants to scream at their husband every day, all day. And then he's just going to go back into his own thing. So let me teach you the long-term way, which is a little bit harder up front, but it actually lasts for your entire marriage and your entire life, which is a much smarter, I think, way to do it. So the first thing you have to understand before you even attempt to change his behavior is what's going on internally. So you have to understand that women having equal responsibilities outside of the house, like women working, is a pretty new concept. It's only a couple generations old. So even though we're like, yay, feminism, and I'm totally a feminist. I mean, I was a state trooper for like 9 years. You also kind of have to understand that generationally speaking, we haven't had many years to be indoctrinated to this idea. So a lot of times what happens is we understand our roles domestically in the household with relationships based on what we saw growing up. So what our parents did. And your husband or your spouse has the same stuff going on from where he or she grew up. So everybody's coming into their relationship with this like preset records playing of how they're supposed to act and what they're supposed to do. Now, you also have to understand that your parents got that from your grandparents. So we don't have 12 generations of women working and men helping around the house. We have one at best, two, possibly three in extreme circumstances. So what happens is we all come into this, like, and I was a perfect example of this. My mom was awesome, and my mom stayed at home with me, but she did all of the things around the house, right? My dad went to work, and he was the disciplinarian, and my mom, like, basically picked up after me my whole life, which is not surprising when I grew up chronically disorganized. But, so in my mind, when I got married, I saw being an awesome spouse as taking care of him, like, oh, I want to make the meals, I want to bring you, like, food in front of the TV, and, like, all of you feminists are like, blah. But, like, that's what internally was going on in my head. And my husband grew up in somewhat similar circumstances where he was kind of having that as well. Like, he thought his job was to do, like, you know, when we do deep cleaning, but, like, he wasn't going to do dishes every day, and he wasn't going to do laundry every day. And that doesn't mean that he's a terrible person. He's a pretty great guy. But you have to understand that, like, we all have this pre-recorded messages going in our head as we grow up and get married. Now, in his case, it was a little bit, he's a modern guy. Like, he wants to do the dishes. He wants to do the laundry. One, he has no idea how. Two, he gets really overwhelmed with life. And that's what we see a lot from our readers. So when we attempt to change a relationship and how you guys are handling chores, we have to start there. Because that doesn't mean that you or your spouse are terrible people and you're not, like, into, you know, equal responsibilities. It just means that we all have this stuff from the past. Now, that's only stage one. Stage two is that you have to understand that personality plays into this. Now, our entire blog, everything that we teach is for people who are considered to be chronically disorganized. The problem is that nobody actually thinks of themselves as chronically disorganized, particularly because the people who are chronically disorganized love organizing. They want all of the platers. They want to highlight. They want washi tape. They want new organization tools. They just don't ever actually keep up with them, right? So these are the guys that get planners, like 6 planners in a year and never stick with any of them for more than a couple of weeks. But they keep buying planners because they're totally sure that this one's going to work. So people who are chronically disorganized, people who would consider them to be like hot messes, are kind of always late, their house is kind of always trashed, dishes always in the sink, laundry always piled up, that kind of stuff. They don't necessarily understand that other people live differently, right? So if you or your spouse is this kind of hot mess, chronically disorganized personality, you don't know how to manage the house. You don't know how to efficiently get the laundry done, get the dishes done, so that it's just like a small blip on the radar and not this like overwhelming rock that you're trying to carry up a giant hill. And so, and my husband is also chronically disorganized, although he's super detail oriented, which is weird. And we get this a lot with readers, is that, so not only do you have your past history, you also have your kind of personalities. Now, even if John was like, that's my husband, even if he was like, I am doing 50% of all the work always, I don't want you to have to be burdened with all of this stuff, he wouldn't have a clue how. He wouldn't even know. He would be like, I am totally going to do it, and then not do it. I love him so much, but even now, like, one of his responsibilities is to take the trash out. We've gone 2 weeks now without him taking out the trash. Anyway, I digress. So when readers have this problem, what we have to do is we have to work with your personality and his personality, and we have to take in the fact of where you guys grew up, what situations you guys grew up in, what are the records that are internally playing in your minds, and then we have to teach you both, sometimes just one of you, usually both of you, how to work with your personality to teach you how to efficiently do your home management stuff. That's the dishes, the laundry, the schedule, the meal planning, the grocery shopping, the errand running, all of this stuff, so that it takes the absolute minimal time, because it's 2020, guys. We don't have time. We have like a million responsibilities. And how to do this so that it's easy and it's just kind of like taking a shower every day. Or like nobody's like, oh my God, today sucks. I have to go to the bathroom, I have to take a shower, I have to brush my teeth. Like those are just things you're gonna do. It's like part of your life. So home management, if it's really, really efficient, and if you're doing it so that it works with your personality, it's just like a quick blip, something that you do, and then you just move on to the rest of your life. And if you're doing this right, most people don't, you are actually doing it so that you have lots of time regardless of your schedule. Now, before you start panicking, we teach this to people all the time. We've taught thousands and thousands of people how to run efficient home management systems, how to budget, how to save a ton of money, even if they have this kind of hot mess personality, even if their husbands don't help at all. So this is what I want to tell you. All right, so now we get into the nuts and bolts of it. One, to start with, we need to work with you. And I know that's counterintuitive because you're like, I'm doing all of the things. I'm not the problem. He's the problem. And you're probably right. In most cases, we do have to work with the husband, but we have to start with you because we can't really control him, right? We can only control you. So what we do is we teach you how to run efficient home management in less than 1 hour a day. We remove at least 5 hours of stuff from your to-do list every single day. There are a few cases, really extreme cases, where we have not been able to remove 5 hours of stuff. Those are in cases like if you have kids with severe disabilities, if you're the caretaker for somebody and you work full time. But for the most part, even in those cases, we can get a couple hours of your life back. And then we remove all of this stuff. We add in 1 hour a day of home management. That can be done in 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes in the afternoon, 20 minutes in the evening, however it works for you. And we teach you how to do the absolute bare minimum, no extras. You're not going to be cleaning your windows, cleaning on top of the fridge, because who cares? And when we teach you how to do this, what it does is it makes it so that without any effort, without him doing a darn thing, you are spending significantly less time in your home. Your home looks a million times better. We actually, our readers have dubbed this the trashed on trash cycle. So what happens is usually you're like, oh, I'm going to clean up the house. This is just, it's disastrous. It's all trash. So you go around and you clean up everything. And then a couple of days to maybe a week later, it goes right back to being trash. That's the trashed on trash cycle. So we get you out of that cycle. We actually get your house clean without you actually cleaning it, which is a whole bit of magic that's kind of awesome. And then once that happens, typically, as long as he's semi-detail oriented, there are a couple that we need a little extra work on, but usually they're like, what is going on here? I didn't do any of this. How is this staying clean? So it's you are doing the actions first. He's noticing what's going on, and then you're saying, well, this is kind of the system that I'm doing. That gives an already set up system that he can add himself into. And then you don't approach it with a fight. You don't wait until you're like, I can't believe you forgot the trash again. You wait until it's a normal kind of conversation to be like, hey, do you mind taking over this stuff? And we're going to start with giving him assignments or projects that aren't like imperative to the running of the home. Like, I love trash. I give John the trash often. Because if he forgets to do it, then that's totally fine. It's going to be fun for a week. It's probably going to be fun for 2 weeks. The garage will be smelly, but it'll be fine. And then over time, we move to have him take over more and more, and eventually you're equal partners. Now, we teach this way for a couple of reasons. One is that a ton of our readers don't have partners. They don't have anybody to help. They're single moms. They're college kids that are like just overwhelmed with life, whatever is going on. And we have to teach single because not everybody has somebody. But the other benefit of that, what we found really shortly on, was that is the most effective way to actually get your spouse to be an equal partner in the house. Now, at some point, we can actually do the same personality tricks that we do with you, which is we work only with your personality. Willpower is not a thing. Nobody should be counting on willpower. We teach you how to do only the things that matter. So there's no cleaning on top of the fridge. There's no scrubbing anything. It's just about the things that we're only doing the things that are having a negative consequence in your life, in your house. And because we're doing those really, really small efforts consistently, because we can do them consistently, because now we have time, they actually stay clean, and they stay clean for a really, really long time. And then the third part is that we work with your personality. So willpower is not a thing. We teach you how to work with your personality. We teach it so that there's like a basically flip of the way that you think about things, and you end up craving home management. I don't know how to explain this, but I went for years, and most of our readers have tried and failed to change this stuff about themselves for years, 10 years, 11 years, 12 years, some even 20 years. And once they started this system, once they started working with their personality and not trying to change anything, and they would go on, they would actually have success. They would actually have results. So the other thing that we need to talk about is how to make all of this happen, right? So we need to start with you. We need to start with just the foundation. It's the schedule book. It's the dishes. It's the laundry routine. It's doing minimal amount every single day. So we have a free, it's like what you would call like an online training, masterclass, webinar. You can call it anything, whatever you want. It's just basically me showing up live to teach you the absolute foundation. Now, we have other things that go way, way more in depth than this. So we teach something called automation, which is basically how to remove yourself from the running of your home for either free or super, super cheap. It works on any budget. But what that does is it makes it so that we don't have to rely on ourselves, because sometimes we're too busy or we just don't have time. And we live in 2020. The amount of automation that we can do now for free or really, really low cost is like mind blown. I have to keep up with it like monthly because it just changes so frequently. And a lot of the times we just don't have the time to know about this stuff. So we keep doing it the old way because like who's got the time to research as to what the new thing is? So anyway, we have like where we teach automation, we teach budgeting routines for people who have zero limited time and who are like kind of chronically disorganized. We do all of that stuff, cleaning routines, budgeting routines, meal planning, all of this stuff foundation. But to be honest, the smartest thing you can do is just start with the free training where I show up and I'm going to teach you step by step these like 6 steps that we need to do and how to implement them into your life, even if you have like zero extra time. You've got no time. I need 1 hour from you, 1 hour to take the class. And then once that's done, like you don't need any extra time. It's just you're building it into what you're already like doing. And where, as a matter of fact, we're removing a bunch of stuff so it's easier to do. I can leave the link for that below, but also you're welcome. Like if you're not ready for like the commitment of a whole class, maybe you're chronically disorganized. You're like, oof, that's a lot. You can also just go to busybudgeter.com and we talk about this stuff for free all day, every day. It's nice to do an online training because it's more of like this, it's interacting and you can like leave comments or questions. Like there's like a chat box and we can have more of a conversation and I can give you more advice like of your personal situation. But the most important part of this is that you understand that he's not a terrible husband and you're not a hot mess. you are a hot mess. I'm even a hot mess. But the thing is that there's solutions to this stuff. We just don't have time to find them. But it's really cool because we're in a position where other people can help us. Other people have been on the same journey you've been on. And in the end of the day, it hasn't been that big of a deal. So for instance, for about, 12 years, when I say I was a hot mess, I was like 2 steps away from hoarders, maybe 1 step away. So I can still remember my laundry room was just piled with laundry, and then it would spill out into the hallway. And I was living in a basement apartment at the time. I was working as a state trooper. I had crazy hours, mandatory overtime. My schedule was always changing. And I would have to walk over this massive pile of laundry just to get out of my little basement apartment. And then the sink was constantly filled with dirty dishes. It never ended. And what I find most funny is how that stuff, I had tried so often to change. I just wanted to be different. I looked at all of my friends who would show up on places on time. Their cars weren't trashed. They wore makeup and earrings, and they didn't have shirts with spit up when they had babies, and they just seemed so put together. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? Why can't I get my life together? And it takes time for you to understand, or even understand, that you're this chronically disorganized person. I never would have identified myself as that, because in my mind, I was always doing new systems, new planners. I liked the concept of organizing. I just couldn't get anything to stick. I would start something and then stop it in 3 days. And I would set budgets, we're going to budget, it's going to be amazing. And then I would literally fail the budget the next day, completely blow it for the month by the 3rd or 4th day out. And so what happened was that I finally figured out how to work with my personality. And when that happened, it was an overnight explosion, because for the first time ever, when you're coming home from work and the kids are screaming in the back of the seat of the car and everybody's fighting, and you're just do you really want to go home, deal with the mess in your sink, deal with the mess in your kitchen, try to remember if you defrosted the chicken for dinner tonight, and actually cook dinner while the kids go run and destroy your house? Or do you just want to drive through the beacon light of the Chick-fil-A and have dinner hand delivered to you? And it's kind of healthy, right? It's healthier than McDonald's, probably. So I think that these things happen to people where it runs through their head. Those are the moments where it doesn't matter, even if you have moderate willpower, that's not happening. You're going to the Chick-fil-A, because who's going to deal with that craziness? So we have to make it so that we never ever have to rely on willpower, because willpower doesn't work. That's when we work on incentivizing your personality, and it works so good. It works so good that you can do it in all sorts of things. And it's funny because when we teach people simple home management, they always come back and they're like, I started this business and it's amazing, which is ironic because that's what happened to me too. Or they're like, I lost 90 pounds, because the same things that teach you how to stop relying on willpower and to work with your personality and incentivize everything works for everything else too. It's just, you just don't understand the concepts yet. So I feel like I'm running on and on and on. But anyway, what I wanted to say is that if you feel up for it, totally commit. I can leave the link for an online training. If you've watched 18 minutes of this, I feel like you can do an hour. And if not, that's totally okay too. Just go to busybudgeter.com. We teach a lot of this stuff. You can just kind of peruse your articles and see if we're a good fit. But either way, the most important thing is that you understand that whatever's wrong with you, you're not broken. And we can fix this. We fixed thousands of people. I wouldn't even want to say that you'd the word fixed, because you're not broken. But what you think is wrong with you is not a big deal. You can move past it. It's not the end of the world. Okay. I hope this helped. Bye.